Welcome back, Sports Talker Nation. Once again, it's your host, the G-Man, as we continue our position-by-position breakdown of the 2016 NFL Draft. Today, we are going to preview the defensive ends, and I love defensive ends. NFL teams love defensive ends. But outside of the true skill position players, it's the hardest to get a great edge rusher, and they can really make a huge difference for your team. They set your front seven up, make your corners look better and everything. I do think this is a good defensive end draft. I think there's a lot of talent at the top ends. I'd say this is like a B-plus draft, which, again, a lot of teams need this position, so I think it'll be very helpful to be able to pluck one. Even in the middle rounds, I think there's going to be some value. But let's start at the top with my man. If the Eagles could somehow get him at number 8, I would be ecstatic, and that's Joey Bosa from Ohio State. To me, I think he is the second most talented player in this draft, right behind Laramie Tunsil. All-around great player. He's big enough to be an every down end in a 4-3. He's talented. He has a great motor. He's unbelievable. Everybody thinks he's going to be great, and I think everybody is right. Sure, does he get a little bit mouthy? Absolutely. When you're as damn good as that guy is, you get to chirp a little bit. That's my motto. Everyone who knows me knows that I'm a big believer in trash talk if you can back it up. You can say whatever you want if you can knock a guy on his ass, and Joey Bosa can certainly do that. I think he's going to be an every down force with double-digit sacks for many, many years to come. I think he's almost a can't miss. I would love to have him on my team. He reminds me of DeMarcus Ware, and I know that's awful high praise, even though Von Miller's kind of past DeMarcus Ware now as a pure edge rusher. DeMarcus Ware does everything really well, and Bosa reminds me of him. Next would be Shaq Lawson from Clemson. He's another beast, but I think he's built more on quickness and straight pass rush ability. Had a knee injury late last year, which it looked terrible, and I thought he wasn't going to be able to play. He showed a lot of balls and heart, or was much more minor than thought, but he played in that bowl game. Now, he wasn't the disruptive force that he usually is, but the fact that he got out there and played was very impressive. I think he's going to be able to get to the pass rusher immediately. I think he's strong enough and smart enough to learn how to play the run, but I think that's going to take a little more time. Greg Hardy's a good comparison, and Greg Hardy minus the complete lunacy and asshole, horrible human being that he is. Shaq Lawson is a good guy. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm just comparing talent-wise. I think he has that much talent, and that's a pretty good comp. Third on my list is a guy I'm not nearly as high on as other people, is DeForest Buckner. He is a giant dude. He's big. He's strong. And I don't know if it's the system, because this has happened to other Oregon pass rushers as well. He never lived up to his talent with his stats. I don't know if they don't use their ends to put pressure, but his pressure never lived up to what he has. Part of it's scheme, I think, and he'll need to make a big jump in the pros to refine his technique, and because he will be expected to produce. You look back on a guy like Deion Jordan coming out of college, he was a can't-miss guy, and he missed drastically badly. I mean, I know he did PEDs, and he's obviously not the brightest guy. I think DeForest Buckner is much smarter than that, but I think there's some risk in that pick, more risk than other people think. Upside, I do see him as like a Chris Baker, a much leaner Chris Baker. Anybody who's ever seen the video of Chris Baker dancing with his shirt off, I would not throw that on DeForest Buckner. But I think talent-wise, I think he's got that kind of upside, and that's pretty good. Next comes Shawn Oakman from Baylor. I'll be the first to admit I have no idea what to make of this guy. I have seen him in some games look like Tarzan, in other games look like Jane. He is huge. He's about 6'7". He should be a run stud due to his size, but he's not. He shows some disruptive tendencies where he can actually quickly cut the defensive tackle, defensive end, or offensive tackle, offensive guard hole and get in there and blow up a run play. But he's not super strong. He's going to need to go to put on strength. I think he can be a rotational player immediately. He has vast, vast potential that you hope a guy like that realizes. At his best, you can see him as a Calais Campbell who has become an absolute star, but I think he's got a long way to go to get there. Last in the Big Five would be a Carl Nassib from Penn State. He came out of nowhere in college to be just a pass rush demon. I don't think he's your true every down end because I think he's a little undersized, but he is certainly quick, and I think he's strong enough to be a rotational player to help you in the pass rush right away. People will think that's a homer play being from the Philadelphia area, but I'm not a Penn State fan. That goes all the way back. My brother loves to tell the story of I've hated them ever since Mike McQueary kneeled down on the 1-yard line and cost me a bet when they, instead of punching it in on Indiana late. I've hated them ever since, and he's probably right. I am that fickle and that shallow. But this is not a homer pick. I do think Nassib has a chance to be pretty good. I think Ziggy Ansah is a good comparison. I don't know that he has the overall athleticism of an Ansah, but he has the same size and speed and burst. So I think that's a decent comp. The next 5, Emmanuel Ogbah from Oklahoma State, rather. I think he's more of a 3-4 end, but I think with the right work and the right technique, he can be a good one. Shalik Calhoun from Michigan State. He's sound. He's technical. He's not going to wow you, but I think he can be a decent player. John Allen from Alabama, an everyman, not a star, willing to do whatever it takes, may become a starter long term. John Bullard from Florida, big beast, huge, strong dude, needs to show more quickness, and if he doesn't have the quickness, he may be relegated to rundowns. And like a Bronson Kafusi from BYU. Like his game, love his heart, dominated at times, but if you watch him play enough, and BYU was on TV a ton, so I watched him play quite a bit, you wonder if his athleticism translates to the next level, even though his production was super. So I'd love to root for the guy, and I hope he does it. I'm not sure his athleticism allows that. So that's all we have to talk about for defensive ends. Again, a pretty good class. If you want to look at some of our other podcasts, we've run through the entire offensive defensive tackles so far. But for now, that's your 2016 position-by-position breakdown of your defensive ends. I'm your host, G-Man, and I am out.